it. That's what I'm talking about.
Wait! Okay, now, from the beginning.
Hit it, boys.
Welcome to Higher Ed Pulse, your no-fluff guide to artificial intelligence in higher ed. I'm Mallory Willsea, bringing nearly 20 years of edtech and marketing expertise straight to your earbuds. Higher ed leaders are expected to master AI overnight, but let's be real, no one has time to sift through every headline, hot take, or research report. That's why every Monday, I'll break down what actually matters. Fast, clear, and to the point. Want to sound like the smartest person in the room at your next team meeting? You're in the right place. Let's dive in. Welcome to Enrollify's Hall of Fame series, where we bring back some of our most impactful guests who've shared their stories across multiple shows on the network. I'm your host, Mallory Willsea. Today, we're spotlighting Carrie Pitts-Densmore, Vice President of Enrollment and Marketing at Johnston Community College. Aside from being a fabulous champion for Element 451, Carrie is a candid, fearless leader who has built thriving teams while navigating some of the biggest challenges higher ed professionals face: AI disruption, equity in the workplace, and the ongoing fight to retain and empower top talent. Across her appearances, Carrie has pulled back the curtain on what it really takes to lead with courage, from culture shifts to change management to breaking down gender barriers. Let's hear some of the highlights. Well, let's talk about your campus and your department a little bit more. I know you lead creative and digital teams and especially in enrollment, like you know the pace, you know the pressure, you know the politics, and I'm sure you've seen what happens when innovation is expected, but not enabled. And so, what are like the non-negotiables that a leader like yourself has to get right now in order to retain top talent?
Well, I will say that I've learned a lot in that area, and I would probably do it a little bit differently if I had it to go over again. And by that, I mean that we wanted to implement this so quickly, and honestly, you almost have to. And so you're kind of building the plane as you're flying it, right? And nobody likes that feeling. I mean, I'm always like, just do it scared, take the risk. But a lot of people are afraid of that, and they feel anxious and this trepidation around it. And I understand that. I think what I would have done differently is had we had the budget, I would have had a third party come in and explain, what is this going to do for you? What can it do for you? Why should you learn it? And then where do we start? But I think we were kind of in a position where it's like, we have this thing, we have to learn how to use it, and we have to make it work. Because also, I think if you're buying these tools and you're investing in them and you're not teaching people how to do it, I have seen over the last 2 years, I have, people call me from different colleges, different institutions all over the country. And they're like, how did you get your CRM to work? But the thing is not the CRM. The CRM works by itself. They already, invented that. It's the culture, it's the people, it's how you go about, teaching them to use it. So it kind of works together in that way. And I think we're doing better in making sure that people feel comfortable with it. And we kind of take it department by department and show them how to do it, spend a little one-on-one time with them rather than bring them all into a huge session where they might not feel comfortable asking questions. That's a thing too. If you really don't understand, you don't want to ask how you get your username, it's tough. So we really do try to spend a lot of one-on-one time with them, which also takes a lot of our time, but I feel like it's worth, investing in that. And I have recently taken on some new team members, and I am so excited to just spend some time with them, showing them how we can save them hours in their day easily. But I said to them already, we're not going to do it right now. We're going to get through this enrollment cycle. We just crossed a huge milestone, 6,000 curriculum students.
Ooh, congratulations.
Yes. And so we're going to get through that. But I said, if we take the time, I know it seems like a lot to take several hours to build this, but I promise you, if we put the time in up front, on the back end, your life is going to be different at work.
What I admire about Carrie is her honesty. She doesn't sugarcoat the realities, but she also points to the opportunities. She's not just experimenting with AI, she's reframing it as a leadership and equity issue. And she brings the same candor to her leadership beyond Johnston, including at national conferences where she spoke with Carrie Phillips.
I always tell them to try. You don't know unless you try. And I also ask them to go back to the question, does this make our students' lives better? Because if you can answer that question, yes, then that affects our recruitment, enrollment, completion. And I just try to keep them coming back to that question. And if the answer is no, then okay, let's abandon it. I am also of the mindset that when you learn new information, it's okay to change and shift. And I want them to feel comfortable doing that. Not everyone is comfortable with that. And so it has been difficult. And it is a huge culture shift. And culture is more difficult to change than learning technology. So we have come a long way with that in the past couple of years. But I think it has to come from the top as well. Our president is very innovative and wants us to do this and supports us in doing that, and that trickles down.
Great thoughts, and you certainly have a lot to be proud of there. Just as you think about today, any great takeaways that you've heard so far, or any good nuggets of wisdom that you're going to be taking home?
Yes. We were actually investigating an application reader, like to read our transcripts, because that is taking a lot of our admissions team time. And they had already, looked at a couple of things. I didn't realize until I walked into that session just now that they launched that in our Element application this morning. We have it already. I emailed them and said, you can do this right now. It takes 3 to 5 minutes per app.
That is exactly why Carrie has become a trusted voice on leadership. And her perspective goes beyond technology. She's also been a powerful advocate for women in leadership, speaking openly about the barriers she's faced.
So I will give you one example, and this is from about 10 years ago. Sadly, I do have examples from 2024, but we'll go back 10 years. I was working as a contractor, and so I worked with different companies to consult and do project management and things like that. So we had a call with a client, and the owners of the company were on the call. And the client said something. These clients were paying a lot of money too, but the client said something that they wanted. And I said, I'm sure we could work that out. Well, after we get off the call, I immediately get a call from the owners of the company. And one of them said, you are not allowed to speak in meetings anymore. And I you would never say that to a man, and I'm done. And that was the first time that I was in a position to quit, because I was a contractor and I did have other contract jobs. I think, sometimes if you're in a place where you're beholden to your employer, you might not feel as strong that you can do that sort of thing. But I was so proud of myself because I just quit and I never spoke to them again.
Carrie Pitts-Densmore reminds us that AI strategy is people strategy. It's about retention, equity, and culture just as much as it's about technology. She shows us that thriving teams don't emerge by accident. They're built with courage, transparency, and a commitment to empowerment. Thanks for tuning in to this Hall of Fame episode. Stay with us for more highlights from leaders shaping the future of higher ed marketing and enrollment. Thanks for listening to the Higher Ed Pulse. The show is a proud member of the Enrollify Network, home to Higher Ed's largest collection of podcasts. Enrollify is where higher ed goes to grow. So be sure to check out our other podcasts, webinars, video clips, blogs, and more. Visit Enrollify.org and subscribe for all the latest details and content drops directly to your inbox. Enrollify is brought to you by Element 451, the digital workforce platform for higher ed. Learn more at element451.com.